Jock, thanks for coming in. Fresh off a new deal, 4-year, $32 million with Houston Rockets. What's it like hearing that? Considering, we've had conversations over the years about your journey, your context. What's it like hearing that after everything that you've been through basketball-wise and personally?
It was pretty surreal. I don't know, given that it was literally yesterday morning. I don't know if it's fully set in yet, and I don't know when it'll set in. So it's been a whirlwind. My phone went bananas, kind of, and then it was just like everything. Like I kind of just like shut down because it was hard for me to really comprehend, the outreach of support and what had just happened. But I'm still playing catch up in that regard. So it's obviously been something that I've been dreaming of doing for a long time, is being able to earn my way up to something like that. But now that it's here, I'm like, well, it just feels like another day. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I went about my morning, worked out as per usual, and just kind of got back on the horse. So I'll celebrate it at some point in the next week or so, but until I actually put pen to paper, I don't know if it's fully set in yet.
One of the interesting things about it was the sort of guarantees in it, where it almost feels like you're betting on yourself, just because it's the first year guarantee. Did you have other offers on the table that were maybe more secure but maybe less money, and you felt as though you were good enough and you had proven enough that you can go in and prove yourself again?
For sure. There was an offer from Phoenix. They put that qualifying offer forward, and then there were some other smaller deals, but nothing to this magnitude. And I felt as though I'd worked my way into. When I played heavy minutes, I always produce, and I was like, if I can get the trust of a coach who has the front office behind him or behind me, and they're all kind of supporting the decision. Absolutely, I believe I can play to that contract, and I think at times, as I said, when I've played bigger minutes, I have played to that kind of a contract. So to me, I'm not really thinking of the non-guarantees, because at the end of the day, the way that people operate in day-to-day life is, you sign a year contract, you see, how you operate within that year, and then you either get a bigger one or a smaller one, and you sign the same thing. So to me, it just feels like I'm kind of maintaining that. I also think that given it's non-guarantee, there's no ability for me to take my foot off the gas, and I think that's really, really important and kind of plays into my character a bit of, I still got to earn everything, and there's, the conversations that we had around, obviously when you start having conversations with teams around, the negotiation portion of free agency, a lot of the feedback that we got was, well, he's played to that level, but we've only seen it for 1 year, and he's only been in the NBA for 2 years, but the first year with San Antonio, obviously I didn't play a whole lot. So there was there's probably still some question marks around whether or not I can maintain that performance in, a 20-minute a night role consistently over a year, but I absolutely believe that I can, and I think that, Houston will come to appreciate that they did that.
Is that your expectation going into this season? A sort of a more prominent role? It's been sort of up and down throughout your career in the NBA so far. Is that the expectation going into this season? It's a funky team.
I think so. I think obviously Sengun has done a great job of making himself into a hell of a starter in the NBA. But you look at his numbers, his minutes in comparison to a max player like DA, and it was just a matter of the minute discrepancy there is big. He plays 28, 29 minutes a game, so there's 19, 20 minutes a night kind of available. So I'm not expecting to walk into that by any means. I mean, when I spoke to Ime, he said, you've got to come in and earn it just like everyone else, and I think that that's a healthy style of competition. So definitely looking forward to that opportunity, but the door's open. I've just got to kind of walk through it. So I think that it was always going to be tough coming in behind a max player, and I expected about 15 minutes a night when I went there and achieved that. But having a quality guy like Biz right beside me, it became about what's best for the team, and night to night that changed. So I don't necessarily expect that to be any different with Houston. And to be honest with you, unless you're, you know, first or second off the bench, there is a lot of changes that happen through NBA benches, and that's just the reality of the situation.
So I look at that team. It's looking really funky based on the guys that are coming in, based on the young guys. It's Fred VanVleet, it's Dylan Brooks, it's yourself. So guys with a good amount of experience. You're coming off a solid playoff series. And then it's the young guys. It's Jalen Green, Şengün, and then Thompson coming in. What are the expectations for this team? Because it's really funky. They've spent money on these vets, but also these young guys have to come up. What are your expectations?
I think it feels as though they're at a point where, or we're at a point, I should say now, but it feels as though we're at a point now where we have an amazing, you know, crop of young talent. We've got the head coach, you know, arguably one of the best head coaches in the entire NBA. And it's about, you know, now we need to start producing. And I think that this is the year that we'll really start to look to produce with a bunch of young talent that's up and coming. And, you know, we've had these young guys who are in the league now for 3 to 5 years who are kind of coming of age, and it starts to become about, well, you know, we can't be Houston Rockets of last year who didn't necessarily, you know, produce at the level that we wanted to, but now we have to start getting in playoff contention, getting into those playing games, and really starting to compete for those spots. So I think that's where we're going to hopefully be.
So I consider you almost a veteran, right? Just because of your age and your experience. And I feel like the growth that you made, obviously over the season, but especially during the playoffs, was particularly impressive.
Yeah.
Is that the sort of growth that you think you can take in and impart on a young team that's looking to take that next step from rebuilding team to potential playoff team?
I believe so. I believe that I've found a role that really fits into a mold that any team needs, playing between the gaps, doing all the dirty work, and every team needs that. You look at Dylan Brooks, for example. That's a certified player that he is. He's someone who comes in and does the dirty work every night and gets the job done at a high level. And I think that's kind of where I figured through the year, it was kind of, we had so many injuries, so there was times that I was, you know, weighing up whether or not I was doing that or whether or not I was needing to produce a little bit more, and that was a confusing kind of place for me at times. But I think towards the end of the season, I realised that the easiest way for me to do what I've done and produce at the level that I've produced is to do the dirty work and play off other people's creation and not really try and force anything. So that'll be, like, as you said, that'll be the message that I'll try and impart on everyone is, you know, every team needs the guys who are willing to sacrifice their own kind of numbers and their bodies and all of that to go out there and help the superstars, you know, get loose and make their lives easier. And that's where I think that I'm really handy and you know, figured that out with KD and Book, is they needed someone who was willing to do the dirty work for them, and that's kind of the role that I see myself, you know, sticking in for a long time, and I'm completely happy with that. I love it. So, yeah.